The title is The Wagon Family. It was winter during the Depression when they came to the ranch asking for a place to camp. Daddy said that they were welcome to wood and water, and he gave them bundles of cane for their tired-looking horses. Their home was an old wagon with a canvas top, and so I called them the Wagon Family. That's the only name I remember. It was fun having new children to play with on our Crossell Ranch. They stayed in the draw north of the barn, and we met in the cow pens at milking time. They cooked on a mesquite fire, and they ate rabbits and birds and made biscuits in a Dutch oven covered with ashes and hot coals. I sat on the ground while the daddy told us about California, where they were going to live in a house. And their mama was sick, and she was fat. And grandfather had something called TB, and he lay on a mattress in the wagon where everybody slept. One day she wasn't sick anymore, and she smiled and was happy, and she had a new baby all wrinkled and red. In our house, Mama made little clothes on a machine that she ran with her foot. And the Wagon Family were our neighbors, a little down on their luck. I didn't want spring to come when they would move on past the Pecos and leave me behind. They talked about the ocean and the mountains and trees in California, and it all sounded like so much fun. Mama went out into the night with a lantern one night to visit their place, and when she came back, she brought the baby and the kids, and she fed them and made them pallets in front of the fire. The next morning at breakfast, she told them that their grandfather was dead, and so they cried, and we cried with them. They washed the grandfather and wrapped him in sheets. Up on the north pasture, they buried him in a hole in the ground where the big cholla, a kind of cactus, grew. And they found a rock for a marker and faced him toward the east, where Jesus will come when he raises the dead. And soon it was spring, and the grass turned green, and one morning the Wagon Family was gone. And I was lonesome, so I walked past their old camp, and then to the cholla where the grandfather's grave was. And that waxy green cactus was now a watermelon pink, covered with flowers and busy with honeybees, and a little brown wren was building her nest. Grandfather wasn't sick anymore, just waiting for Jesus, in the prettiest place on the ranch. A little boy knows that winter passes and old folks die and are left behind, so babies can grow up in the sunshine where the orange trees live. And oh yes, God, bless the mamas and the papas who drive their wagons to better places than they left. I hope you liked it. I've been writing these things for a long time, years and years.
He was the guy that was in everybody's living room.
On KBST-TV, KBST Radio, and in the Herald, it was Here and There with Bruce Frazier. One of his 10 kids, Donald, remembers.
He was a college professor. He was a cotton farmer. He was an entrepreneur. He was a social activist, community leader. He was a great dad, visionary.
And in the 50s and 60s, the most trusted man in media in Howard County and the surrounding area.
The news or the weather, you wanted some sort of a local color. There was Bruce dancing in your living room in black and white.
Bruce was every man, especially when he swallowed a fly during a food commercial on live TV or promoted the rattlesnake roundup.
The Chamber of Commerce brought a trash can full of snakes out.
Son Ed was at the TV station that night.
Couldn't really see much down in the bottom of that trash can when the camera was looking in there. Bruce just took the trash can, poured them out on the floor where you could see them, and they all crawled off the screen because whoever was running camera that night took off. Bruce took the camera back up level, looked into the lens, and said, "I'll be right back," and then ran around the studio and caught 4 or 5 snakes and put them back in the trash can. I was riding home with him, and I asked him, I said, "Well, when did you learn to catch snakes with your bare hand like that?" And he said, "Tonight."
We couldn't go anywhere without being identified as one of those Frazier kids.
Son Bennett says even though Bruce left Big Spring in the early 70s, his extended family was still huge when he passed in 1989.
There were so many people that showed up or sent remembrances or sent flowers that the funeral home basically had to close all of the rest of their viewing rooms just to hold all the flowers that came to honor Dad.
If you ever crossed paths with him, you'd agree with this. Bruce Frazier, what a concept.